to start the show, it's really a sad kind of a start to the show. So first, let me get over to my X account. I want to get into my X.com account, X.com. Anyways, if you're joining us in Rumble, try to share this thing. Let's kind of build this up because actually we have very good retention and stuff. The stats are really good with Rumble. We just need distribution, frankly. Whoever comes there, that you guys stay, you listen. It's all really good stuff. We just need to get this thing done as far as just build the audience back up again. We will do our best to try. All right. Let's start with some very sad news. Now, I've told you a lot about the COVID vaccine, how dangerous it is, and how we had lost 13 people in my network in the Philippines, perhaps one here also, which would be 14 people. Well, today, literally at 3:15 this afternoon, we lost my driver in the Philippines. Yeah, he drove for me for about 4 years, fully vaccinated. About a year ago his liver started to just completely deteriorate. And we had left him alone at the farm. I got a small farm, and so we left him there just to have some peace. It's very peaceful there. You got a river running through. You got fresh air. It's not so hot, so we let him stay at the farm just to get some nice, just nice surrounding, peaceful environment, lots of trees, that type of stuff. And so we had been leaving him alone. Emily left him alone for a few days, about a week. Came back and he was like completely emaciated, hadn't eaten for a week. And so she took him to the store. We have a small grocery store. So she took him to the grocery store, was taking care of him there, brought the brothers in, the wife, and his family just refused to do anything to help him. And he overheard today. I didn't even know he was this bad. I just saw him today for the first time also. And it was just shocking. And so what happened was I told Emily, I said, Emily, you really should try to get him to the hospital because he's looking really, really bad. And he was looking really, really bad. Um, and he apparently overheard that, and he told Emily, Emily, please, I think they call him mom or madam. I think he said madam. He usually would say madam. He could barely talk. Said, I don't want you guys to spend any more money for me. I don't want to go to the hospital. Basically, just take me to the take me to the cemetery, and only you take me, he says. So we had arranged for people to come at 9 o'clock at night to take him. He passed away at 8:15 in my store, literally in my store, which would be about 3:15 my time. So yeah, very sad kind of thing. The poor guy, he did his best. But the thing is that when I go on to places like X and I see these doctors or these scientists pushing the vaccine and say, no, gee, I'm fully, I just want to shoot them. Not in a real way, but I would like to see a Nuremberg type of situation go on out there, frankly. And I would not mind at all seeing mass literally just line them up like at Nuremberg, 5, 10, 15, 20 at a time and just drop them down the chute. Because frankly, in my circles, too many people have died. Frankly, just way too many people. And it's really it's a sad situation, but it is what it is. We tried to warn people, and that's just where it sits right now. So there you go. That's not a great way to start the holiday show here, but we're going to try to put together a nice show for you anyways. All right, let's start, I think, with little Somalia. I'm just doing this straight out of my memory here. I don't have any stories pulled up because again, I was working today. I'm going to be drinking some tea in between for my voice, so bear with me here. Hmm. Okay. um, Part of the problem we have in the West is this, and I spoke about it last week. If you think for a second that any other country out there is going to start importing all of these people into your country, give them money, give them preferable treatment with loans and other government handouts, bring them in, structure it such a way that they're able to take over entire cities, like Minneapolis, St. Paul with the Somali population up there, and literally start changing our laws. Well, you gotta. There's a few bridges you need to be buying from a lot of people apparently because nobody else would ever do that. I swear, nobody. No, it would not happen in Jordan. Sure as hell would not happen here in Saudi Arabia. Sure as hell ain't gonna happen in Israel. They ain't gonna allow that to happen. Hey, all you guys come into my country. We're gonna import you into Tel Aviv, and then you can go ahead and take over Tel Aviv, and then you can start changing the laws inside of Tel Aviv. You think the Israelis are gonna allow something like that to happen? Frickin' no, no way. And so there's no reason, frankly, why we should be doing this type of behavior within our own countries. We literally we replaced our ownership of the motel networks in America. And how did they do that? You brought in a lot of Indians, a lot of Bangladeshis, you brought in a lot of Pakistanis, and you literally gave them money from the taxpayer to buy up all the motels and all the 7-Elevens, all the gas stations, all these low end convenience stores so that they could come in, take over the country, have a place to make money. They were willing to go ahead and sleep with 3, 4 people inside that motel while they built it up and made some money. And who lost? We, the American people, lost. And all of this is frankly coming on the hands of and the actions of Israeli people, Israeli centric people, Jewish organizations. And frankly, we should be holding them long term with a strategy to hold them responsible for this, because it's just unconscionable what's going on here. Now, you go up into Minneapolis. Now, and if you think this isn't planned, you just have to be rational about what's going on. You go into Dearborn, right? Dearborn, Michigan was Henry Ford's hometown. Think about it. That was his hometown. So what better way to just kind of stick a knife into the what do you call this? The memory of Henry Ford, his not his heritage, his memory is not the right term for it. His I'll tell you, I'm too long in the Middle East. I lose my English. But what better way to destroy him as far as his memory goes than to just flood his own private, his original hometown with a bunch of people from the Middle East? Think about it. You don't think that's not planned? Of course it was. Now you go into Minneapolis, St. Paul. It was built, of course, by people of Nordic descent. Some of my relatives were there. And a lot of them lived in Minneapolis, St. Paul, other parts of Minnesota, North Dakota. That's where the other relatives came from. Minneapolis, St. Paul, North Dakota, these parts of the Midwest, who migrated during the 50s in that great migration era of the 1950s. And what do you think you think it's an accident that they go and they take the most pristine white Nordic area of America and then turn it into little Somalia? See, these are ways that's plausible deniability on the hands of the Jewish people behind this. But behind the scenes, everybody knows what's going on. They're doing this to basically the heartland of the hardworking part of America. You got to be hardy to actually live in Minnesota. Back in the day, hell, we hear stories all the time. Well, it's raining. We used to go to school with belts and shirts, not belts and shirts, with ropes tied to our body, trouncing through the blizzards just to get to school. You probably heard those stories as a kid, right? Well, nowadays it's just being handed over to Somalis. And apparently there's just billions and maybe more than $10 billion worth of fraud. Now think about it. Where's all that money going? Is it going back to Somalia? Is this something that Omar actually helped engineer? My point here is that the entire network there, if the entire fraudulent network should be rounded up and deported back to Somalia. And as much restitution as we can get back from them possible, as much clawback as possible. You're talking about home care places, child care places, where they set up these shops, sometimes 12, 13, 14 different companies at the exact same address, taking money from the government. And the government people who are responsible for handing out this money, they equally should be arrested for the grotesque negligence that they are clearly guilty of doing here. How in the hell are you giving American taxpayer money away like this? They should be held for the same liability as we should be holding against the Somalis. And as the corruption at this level is so freaking mind-boggling, yet nobody's held to account. And this is the main problem with America today. Nobody's held to account. If there is, it's a token here, a token there. Hell, in the 1980s, if you remember, the savings and loan crisis, we as white people still pretty much still controlled the country in the 1980s. We put over 1,100 bankers into prison based on what happened during the savings and loan crisis back in the 1980s. 1,100 bankers and people related with the banking industry were put into prison for that thing. And it was a massive scandal. 2000, fast forward, 2008, how many people got put away for that? One, two, nothing. They just said, oh, give us more money, put out TARP, let's roll out more cash, get more people involved, and hey, we're going to have a great time. Let's just do this again in 20 more years. No, we should have rounded up all the people at Lehman, frankly, rounded up all the bankers and just put them in jail. And frankly, I would like to hand over some of our security and some of our, let's just say, our prosecution network to the Chinese and the Vietnamese, because we would have lots of bullets flying. None of these bankers are going to get away with what they did. Sure as hell not in Vietnam. See, the interesting part about Vietnam is that, and also China, by the way, is that these countries have liberalized. So their economies are doing very, very well. And the only reason you need a party, especially in Vietnam, because it's smaller, is to keep corruption at bay. And they still have problems with corruption. Everybody does. But look what's going on in America. I like what happened here. There was a ton of corruption here, and we all knew it during the King Abdullah area. And King Abdullah was helicoptering money into the economy. They were just ransacking the treasury here in Saudi, and lots of people made a lot of money during the King Abdullah era. That's what brought me here. I was within this network, but not at the level to where I could just go start stealing money, and I wouldn't have done it anyways. But what happened was, you heard about the arrest and everybody being put into the hotels here. The Ritz-Carlton Hotel, all these people being arrested, 440 people, the top business people, and some of their sidekicks and assistants were arrested. We heard 1, 2, 3 were actually executed just to scare the hell out of people. Not public, but this was rumored to have happened. And really, that's what has to happen in America. But you can't do it when everybody is frickin' involved in corruption. From your president on down. They can claim Trump's not involved. Dude, you were sitting there giving your frickin' Israeli friends tens of billions of dollars to level the ground, and all you're doing is talking about building your own hotels and casinos along the Riviera that you want to build in Gaza on really the bones and the ashes of all the people you guys killed. I mean, come on. That's not corrupt. Using American taxpayer money to essentially squeeze the people of Gaza into a smaller and smaller area, which is exactly what they are doing in Gaza now. It's literally just a squeeze them further into a smaller concentration camp type of situation. So, the problem we have is the state of Israel. And they're complaining a lot about it now in the Israeli side of things. But bottom line is that that's where the problems are. It's in the state of Israel. Don't switch, man. I think we're still going out. I hope we're still going out over the air. Discord's electrics on us too now. It's like, would you like to change your settings? Like, no, don't change any settings. That's probably the problem. So basically, we have a huge problem in America. And the problem is basically coming from the Jewish community, especially their talking heads, etc. Apparently, though, well, we'll get into some of this after the break because we're going into a break very soon here. Okay, I can't get into these things. Okay, we're going to try to get in. Yeah, there's the break. I'll try to get more organized here. All right, that's the break, everybody. We're coming to you live again from Riyadh. It's the Fetch. It's IDI Live. Back with more right after this. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. It is the Fetch Inside the Eye Live. Get this out of my. There you go. Uh, I got to fix my lighting here, guys, in the studio. You can't see, but if I turn it on, it like flickers. It's very annoying. So, anyways, that's going to be kind of in my way because I need it. I just kind of need it. Hi. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Anyways, we are back. If you'd like, again, join us on Rumble. InsideTheEyeLive.com is what you're going to search right now. I added some stuff to the Rumble account. We, improved it a little bit, just a little. We'll continue to improve it as the year approaches here. So check it out. Again, Inside the Eye Live at Rumble. It's currently streaming there. Yeah, I'm still there. Got a lot of, yeah, that's the white light. It's like, it's terrible, actually. Is here too. I'm from a network with a lot of really high-end professionals, and these are people that worked in the screen, in Hollywood, are registered camera people. They're like really professional. They know exactly what they're doing. So if you have any like imperfections, if they do talk to you, like you'll never hear the end of it. It's like, dude, that production. Blah, blah, blah. But anyways, welcome to the internet, right? All right. Let's see here. Where we want to start again. Um, let's see. Where do we want to start? It's kind of early in the show and I'm confused. That's going to be a huff and a puff type of show, isn't it? I was looking at my X feed, right? And if you don't know, I'm on X, Inside the Eye Live slash The Daily Fetch. That's because I'm looking to do maybe a new show starting next year. Uh, doing more of this type of stuff just for the fun of it. And I get a little bit more motivation finally. But of course, we've been doing this for so many years now, 12 years, 15 years, 14 years, something like that. So we're a little burned out for a long time. And sometimes it just takes a while to get your energy back to move again. But, anyways, we're there. Let me try to find what's going on here. The Somali stuff is big news. That's gonna blow up, actually. Frankly, that's gonna blow up for sure. I understand it through kind of like unfair means. Yeah, they'll make money this way, but it's not like they're like geniuses or anything. To me, they just steal it. But you have Zelensky, who's an Israeli citizen. He's complaining that the Western aid is currently insufficient. Zelensky, again, has taken what, $500 billion in 5 years? So basically, they decided to wage a war against Russia for a budget of around $500 billion, and they lost. Bottom line, they lost. He's complaining that his air defense is insufficient. Well, that's because we can't give you any more, dude. Weapons are insufficient. Well, we can't give you any more. We don't have it. As for the money, okay, Europe's going to probably give another 3, 4, 5, 10 billion. Who knows? But it's always short, he claims. And it's like, you want to talk about grifters? you know, you had Ben Shapiro talking about all these grifters in the conservative movement. How about all these Jews in the Jewish movement? You don't think Zelensky's not a grifter? You don't think Ben Shapiro is not a grifter? Come on, guys. Let's just be realistic here. On X, again, you can follow me at Inside the Eye Live, the Daily Fetch. What I don't get with X, I really don't get it, but it's like, your feed is what it is, right? And it's like the entire feed is nothing but pro Israel crap. Like there's this The Bible is clear. Those who bless Israel will be blessed. Okay, we're screwed, you freaking moronic Jew. Seriously, we are screwed in the West. All these people supporting Israel, and what has it got us? It's got us deluged with immigrants, violent, many of the cases. We've lost a lot of our freedoms, a lot of our rights. What's this idea about praising Jews and worshiping Jews is going to make you blessed? Where did that even come from? What moron talks like this? Seriously. And it's like my whole feed is this. Another one, this black primate. I think he's the primate of maybe England because I know the primate of England is black. So maybe he's like the primate's primate. I don't know. Says Jewish people are wonderful. Really? Really? I mean, I've met tons of them. They're arrogant, obnoxious, rude, distasteful, poor manners. They are basically not even civilized. A lot of them aren't civilized. They behave like basically idiots in public. They have this chutzpah about them. They think they can behave whatever, however they want, and you're supposed to giggle and laugh with them. Like, dude, did you learn how to behave, or is this basically Jewish idiocy on display? "No, that's anti-Semitic." No, I'm just observing Jewish idiocy, you jackass. That type of stuff. Um, but the whole feed, no, the whole feed I got is nothing but pro-Israel, literally pro-Israel crap. Everything. I'm just scrolling through pro-Israel, pro-Israel, pro-Israel. Um, it just doesn't stop. It's like I can't get any news. It's like X, what are you doing? You got this woman here claiming that she was constantly this Israeli woman, saying she was constantly sexually assaulted by her captors in Gaza. I don't believe that for a second. We know that the Israelis do that. We do know that. I don't buy this crap at all. And so, but they just don't stop. They talk about the Bondi massacre, not motivated by religion. No, it's okay. If it really happens, motivated by your freaking lack of couth, then, okay? Call it something. There's nothing happens without a reason. But everything is here. It just doesn't stop. I'm scrolling, 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 scrolling. And all I get is this garbage about Jews. It's like, what? Is there nothing else on X? All these millions of people out there, and there's nothing on X to feed to us people out there? Ah, you know, lots of interesting stuff, though, going back to this Somalia stuff. You know, I don't know how, frankly, we allowed so much money to be stolen. And really, what you have in the leftist liberal agenda is creating, because these people, by the way, have no value to humanity, um, apart from being maybe husbands, wives, or whatever. But they don't really have a whole lot of productive value. And the only way for them to make money, it seems, is to create schemes so they can steal it from various treasuries. And the amount of fraud being covered or uncovered in Minnesota is insane. They basically were helicoptering in money to Somalis. So who educated them? Who trained them? Was it a bunch of Jewish groups? I'd like to know. See, these are questions that really should be asked. Who was behind it? Who helped these people set these things up? You just didn't come over from Somalia with your 47, well, okay, maybe 92, not even that high, say 75, 80 IQ. And all of a sudden you're able to game the system to make tens of billions of dollars. Who did that? Do we really think it was the Somalis? Because I don't. It just doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. We get a lot of problems with the X feeds, right? But every now and then you will get certain things will sneak through, like the way Jews are harassing Christians inside of Israel. Um, Happens all the time, but you never really get to hear about stuff like that. Uh, they're claiming Marco Rubio is the most popular political figure in America today. How is that possible? I mean, really, how is that possible? Because frankly, this guy's an Israeli agent for the most part. I really don't see how that's possible. Um, just I don't see. There's a lot of animosity towards the Jewish people right now for good reason. And this one came out of New York recently. See, and we get this going out. So even though we have all this organized treason at the highest level in America, probably the UK also, Britain, who knows? I mean, Germany, France, maybe it's going out there, but we have all this high level treason, Israel first crap going out. You have these micro broadcasters. This lady puts this out. Okay, this thing got 1.8 thousand likes, 125,000 views. So you see what I mean? You can go ahead and try to silence people all you can. But when you have just this type of float, yeah, 123,000 views for that little clip right there. Now, it was short, so chances are people watched the whole thing. And so you're getting the message out. It's Christmas week, right? And it's like you have the menorah sitting on the White House lawn. It's like, okay, is this really America or are we occupied? A lot of people are starting to understand what this really means. We are, and de facto, occupied. Hold on a second. I got a friend here that wants attention. She's, I guess during the break, I'll have to see if there's food. Maybe there's no food down. She's saying, it's time to feed us. Uh, that's Ling Ning, everybody, in case you didn't know. That's Ling Ning. All right. uh, yeah, having is, man, I can't even go to X and get anything out of X. There's nothing in X worth of value here. None, but you can follow me there. I've been certainly putting things out there because, refuting this stuff. I can't seem to get to anybody else. I mean, it just doesn't work. Mm, let's see if I can pull some stories. It's a holiday. It's a holiday weekend. I don't know. Uh, I would assume like the bowl season. If you're in America, I was always a big bowl fan, football fan. It should be kind of fun there to see some of this going on. As far as I'm looking for the Rose Bowl, things like that coming up here for the new year. All this is kind of good. You know, there's a spokesperson for the Israeli military. His name is Elon Levy. Frankly, if you had control, this guy should be arrested for war crimes since he's facilitating the genocide in Gaza. But he writes out, and this is just the type of stuff that you get all the time on Israeli manure type of mouth channels. He writes here, Hamas called the female Israeli hostages Sabaya, sex slaves. Now captivity survivor Eloni Gonen opens up about her abuse at the hands of the Hamas rapist regime. It's such classless bullshit from the Jewish people, because we heard so many great stories coming from the actual people themselves. Now it's months later, and all of a sudden we're getting all these stories. And it's like everything that the Jewish people are describing here, we know they're guilty of in their own prisons against the Palestinians. So it just doesn't stop. Doesn't stop. We hear about this 19-year-old girl being killed. Oh, dudes, it's like that's normal in the cities that you Jews engineered. Diversity. This is just normal everyday behavior in Chicago, New York, Atlanta, Los Angeles. I mean, why are you whining to us that one Jewish woman was killed at the end of the day? I just lost my driver today, and we know that was to Jewish vaccines. All right? So why excuse me, why do you look at come on. You look at what's going on inside of Israel, and it's like, why are you guys even whining at this stage? The amount of harm Jews have caused to the American people, to people at large across the world. Why are you trying to get sympathy over one story? We all have our stories. Oh, Jews killed my driver today. That's anti-Semitic. No, you Jews killed my driver today. Frankly, Jews killed the driver. All right. All of this stuff about getting vaccinated, all this crap about, you're going to be banished from society, and all these people that don't have the sophistication buy into it. They believe it. They rush in. They go fucking, excuse my language, but, inject themselves with this poison crap. And Jews want to whine about one dead Jew. Frickin' give us a break. Nothing personal, but give us a break. This happens every day. But all that the Jewish people want to do is have us whine, oh, you poor Jews, oh, you poor Jews. Give us a frickin' break. Laura Loomer. She says here, there's no such thing as Israel first. Really? I mean, there's no such thing as Israeli first. Then she says it's literally an Islamic psyop paid for by nihilistic fake Christians who are bankrolled by Arabs in the Gulf countries. Is she, see how stupid Jews really are? Hell, we were talking about Israeli first over a decade ago. Geez, ever since you had MAGA for MAGA, the Israeli first was just destined to follow. And yet these stupid, lunatic Jewish people, Jews, are spreading stuff like this. And it's like, it just doesn't stop. It's like post after post of brain dead morons in either yarmulkes or over large noses. I don't know what the problem is. It says here, they talk about how this Jonas Salk character saved millions of people. It's like, no, you literally have injected gene therapy into billions of people, harmed tens of millions of people, transferred $4.1 trillion from Americans into the hands of a few Jewish oligarchs during the COVID shutdowns. And here you're sitting there wanting us to sit there and say, wow, you Jews are so awesome. And that's what it is. It's just a nonstop uh, propaganda for the state of Israel. Here's another one. Jews fight back. Georgetown University just cut ties with Francesca Albanese. She is the UN special rapporteur who has spent months, it says here, laundering anti-Semitism through the language of human rights. Again, is it really the abuse of Jews on the English language? I have come to the impression here that they just are freaking idiots. They're just idiots. Laundering anti-Semitism? What a moron. Again, how stupid do you have to be? Now, what I would love to see here is just people en masse saying, that's the dumbest freaking thing I've ever heard. Do you have to go full-blown Jew on us? Because why would you? They're just dumb. This is one of the most respected women out there, and we're supposed to take information from some flake in the Jewish community? Are you out of your freaking minds? It's like we need to have like a scale. It says Jew. Actually, let's reverse that. It's like, okay, common sense, a little whacked, looking confused, really stupid, really stupid, full on Jew. Okay, and we know that full on Jew is absolutely completely just from another universe. And I'm beginning to believe that because Jews aren't white, sorry, Elon, they're not of Western civilization. They go to school to learn English, but they just don't know how to use the language correctly. Now you could say they're liars. Yeah, we know they're lying. You could say they're gaslighting. Yes, we know they're gaslighting. You can say they're psychopaths. Yes, we know they're psychopaths. We get all of that. But let's just boil it down and say, you know what? We're way more intelligent than these freaking morons. Way more. Okay? Who would say they're laundering anti? Okay, did you need to go full on Jew on me again? And it's like full on Jew everywhere we go here. I mean, literally. Says here, what would happen if the United States broke away? Says the U.S. needs to stop sending. Well, that was me. Says here, it's actually a video. I'm sorry, I can't go. But they're like talking about, all this money we send to Israel. Okay, what do we get back? A broken Iron Dome system? Big frickin' deal. More weapons of war. It's not going to help the American people. What's going to help the American people is a type of economy that builds things, not blows things up. Oh, they're talking about Palo Alto and basically spying on us. How is that helping the American people? They're talking about Apple's Face ID. How is creating basically a biometric control grid good for the American people? See, none of this is good for the American people. It's just basically helping a bunch of oligarchs control the world even better. So, yeah, I think, frankly, money should be extracted from the Israelis. Money should be extracted from the Jewish people. Why are you making 2.1? Why did we give away $4.1 trillion during COVID? Just so they can kill people. Ah. So basically, Mark Levin, he's another class act guy. He says Qatar is the top state actor behind the global and propaganda war against Israel and Jews. I don't think so. I don't think so. Maybe they're a top state actor. Maybe that's okay. But you know what? The America First Patriots, um, we don't need really Qatar. We're fine without them. What we need to do is make the United States one of the top states behind the global war against Israel and Jewish people. We need to make America strong, not a haven for a bunch of psychopath Jews who try to use the language to control us, and everything they say basically is just moronic stupid. We need to kick Jews out of our national media. They need to be platformed from our media. And if they're using our scarce resources, just put them out of business for a while until they sell it. If Trump can strong arm TikTok to be sold to a bunch of Zionist flakes, why can't we in power, if we get power, create the same thing? It's getting cold here. I may have to put on a jacket. I want to sneak. Anyways, people sit there and want to criticize too much. And it's like you don't get any really good stuff coming out of the feeds anymore in X. It's just, I don't know how to change that, frankly. Uh, quick comment on Nick Fuentes. The people have been talking a little bit behind the scenes about this kid. And it's like one of the things that I was told a long time ago was that Fetch, you have a platform, use it, fill your time with information. Don't go after people too much. We don't like it. Just fill it with information. So for the longest time, I try not to get too much into the drama wars. But one thing I noticed about the Nick Fuentes saga is it's one big drama fest after another. Oh, Tucker this. Oh, Candace that. Oh, this person that. Oh, it's like, dude, you got a nice platform. You say a lot of good things. Why are you wasting your time on issues that are irrelevant for us? Use your platform to get information out. Not to say whether Tucker's with the CIA. Listen, Tucker says a lot of good things. You take the wins where you get them. Yeah, we got the problems with him, but take the win, dude. Stop being so freaking crazy here. Anyways, it's the Fetch. Let's quit right after this on a holiday Christmas show. Back with more right after this. Welcome back, everybody. It is indeed the Fetch Inside the Eye Live. Got my hair sticking up there. Yeah, get that down. There you go. Anyway, sorry about that. Anyways, it's the Fetch Inside the Eye Live, intelligent media for the politically aware. Again, broadcasting out on Revolution Radio at revolution.radio, I believe. And we are, of course, listener sponsored and supported radio. So if you're watching this on YouTube or on Rumble and you don't know what's happening relative to the bigger project, we've been broadcasting, of course, Inside the Eye Live since 2011. We were one of the originals in the Patriot Radio genre. We started off back at Oracle Broadcasting. We had a great team back there that frankly discussed quite a bit of what was going on that is now mainstream America topic today. So we've been at this a very long time, but we do live radio every week, and we're just broadcasting the live radio out over Rumble. A lot of people had requested it. We had not done it. We're trying to now be consistent and do this every week. So if you're enjoying the broadcast, like and share, as they say. I'm not really a big thing of that, but it's like and share, because that's the only way to actually grow it. We don't advertise. We basically rely on word of mouth to get the information out there. So if you like the show, obviously, share it with your friends. Look, it's not fringe stuff. What we talk about today is not fringe. Back in the day, you're gonna hide, like, oh my God, I might be called an anti-Semite. It's out there. Come on, guys, forget it now. There's no way of putting this back in the bottle. We've won that war by by a huge margin. The Overton window has shifted so much that it's going to be impossible for Jewish people to put this back into the box of Pandora. In fact, I don't think they actually can. So they can just go kiss this one goodbye type of stuff. And too bad. Too bad. We were patient. You tried to shut us down everywhere we went, but we were patient. All right, let's go back into the year in review just a little bit to consider here because it is the final show for us. So we're going to do a kind of a year in review and some of the topics that were kind uh, of interest, at least relative to populism, nationalism, Western civilization, etc. But we're going to start in the Middle East. I of course been living in the Middle East since 2008, really end of 2007. I started setting up telephone companies under Jordan's deregulation scheme in 2005. Set up three companies. I think two got funded and were operating. One was not. Uh, Back in the day, 2005, a lot of people would invite me to go to Damascus in Syria. And from Amman, it's literally a 45-minute car trip. And you could just get on the car, cross the border, go have lunch, come back in the afternoon. It's just a 45-minute drive, which, as a lot of you guys know, that's nothing. 45 minutes is pretty fast. Even here in Riyadh, sometimes it takes me an hour to get from one factory to a place I would need to go. It's so 45 minutes is nothing. Anyways, this year, Bashar Assad finally fell, and you've got now Jolani, who is apparently another Israeli firster, running Syria. You've got the Israelis now taking over larger swaths of Syria. But it's not like it's not like it's not like we solved much, But in the region, it's important because it allowed for the sanctions to be dropped. It allowed for uh, people to come, once sanctions get dropped, you can go in, you can invest, you can start to send some of your people home because they're Syrians. They can go home now. But was it really a liberation? Well, yeah, apparently, because the Assad regime did not want to fight anymore. So yeah, it was a form of a liberation. It was a takeover. The Assad regime did fall. It collapsed at lightning speed. And now you've got a lot of the regional powers here. Israel wants to take over its part. Turkey wants to take over its part. I'm sure other countries in the region would like to have a little say what goes on in Syria equally. But nonetheless, where I'm at with some of the Syrian people that I know, it's probably running 2 to 1, meaning that people are in favor of it more than they're not. You have the people that I know people that are ecstatic about how the Syrian regime, Assad, has fallen. And I'm like, I know these people. It's like they're not politically savvy. They really don't get it per se. Why would they be this way? I try to ask myself that. But they're ecstatic Assad is gone. Then I have others that look at me like saying, no, this is bullshit. What's going on here is bullshit. So what they're telling me though is, Dennis, why don't you come to Damascus and check it out for yourself? I'm not sure about that trip, but I've been told that if I go back to Jordan and I try to move up through the border from Jordan, I would be welcome. So I've thought about going into Syria, but the problem with that is that I have to watch and make sure I avoid Israeli areas. Israel will kill people for for us, no reason. But Israel will kill people for whatever reason they deem is necessary to kill you. So you sure as hell don't want to be trouncing up through Syria by car with Israel able to target your vehicle because I kid you not, one of my biggest markets right now is Israel. Don't ask me why, but one of the biggest countries that watches some of my stuff is Israel. So, okay, because I get the data from behind the scenes, and it's like America, of course, number one, UK and Canada, two, three, typically, Philippines, you can understand, and then Israel. Israel's actually number five right now. So, a lot of people, or at least there's a fair enough people from Israel watching my stuff that you have to be careful and a little bit curious as to why. Um, of course, the Epstein story was very big in 2025. It's been damaging, absolutely critically damaging, frankly, to Trump. He's been so busy trying to cover it up. It seems that a lot of people within the base have actually gotten quite upset with him. Now, there's been lately more and more tranches being released. You're seeing more come out. We don't have any arrests. We don't have any, there's nothing really going on aside from information is being released. But we are starting to see some information come out. I haven't really gone through it yet. It's not a story that I typically am following. We understand the game, but we're not following the story in its minutia. Some people believe that 2025 was the year of nationalist politics. And they believe that because Trump came into power, that's going to spread some more populism. But Trump has been a complete failure for a lot of us. More interested in making Israel great again rather than he was in making America great again. They're talking about the Trump and the Putin getting together. I don't believe Trump and Putin are actually getting together. I believe what you're seeing here is Trump trying to run cover for the Jewish failures in Ukraine, and he's trying to get himself and his Jewish friends extrapolated from this, you know, extricated, I should say, extricated from this mess, and he can't do it. There's no way. The Russians are going to take this through to completion. It's just impossible for the Russians to do otherwise. They've lost a lot of money. They've lost, meaning treasure. They've lost a lot of people. And so when you add these two together, it's a big loss for Russia. You're not going to just give up and not get what you have fought for. So they're going to take this fight to its logical conclusion, and that may indeed mean the end of Ukraine. Of course, we had the National Guard. It was being put out into various states in America. California was operating. I believe it was operating maybe, I think in Portland, was it operating there? Maybe also in Washington, D.C. So this they're trying to sell this as I don't know, this deep state versus the new populist wave, and we can't trust the deep state, so we're using our National Guard. I'm not sure how that actually works, but we'll have to see how that continues to play out. But for the most part, I think the nationalists are a little bit diluted. We are kind of like in the realms of power. We have some levers that we didn't have before, but it's not like it's massive power here. A debt crisis. We've had the country go shut down in 2025. Literally, we had a lot of bankruptcies also, but we had the country shut down for one of the longest shutdowns in American history. Um, Others are speaking about the rise of the technocratic dark age, and it's on the horizon. What does that kind of mean there? Essentially, it's a year where you have this idea that humans are becoming literally obsolete compared to the technological creations that we have, whether it's going to be the robots, the AI, etc. So AI is seen as the new feudal lord. It's going to be controlling everything. The truth of the matter is, AI, as it's designed, is a narrative control mechanism. It's trained on a degree of information. It follows what is quote unquote safety rules. Safety rules simply means how do we protect the status quo? You can't talk about the Holocaust because, gee, that's protecting the status quo. So therefore, we can't talk about diversity. We can't talk about group dynamics. All this BS, that is really being programmed into AI so that it is only able to perpetuate a certain status quo. So I don't find AI all that. Now, the interesting element about AI, if you've worked with it, and I actually do work with it, is that it's easy. It's actually easy to bend it to do what you need it to do from an opinion point of view. The logic, let me just say, it's logic. It's easy to put the logic into place to get it to agree with you. It will try to hedge against the bets, hedge itself against the status quo. But it's easy to get it to move. It's not all that big a deal, frankly. So those are some of the stories. Of course, you have the clamping down on free speech throughout the West, especially what's going on in the UK now with literally arrests and police visits up to about 30 per day now for political wrong speak. So we've seen Britain turn into what is literally a totalitarian country. We've seen, um, I forget now. I forget the name. It'll come to me later. So, okay, skip that for now because I forgot the guy's name. You had BRICS expansion, another issue. BRICS playing a bigger role. America still trying to sell its soybeans to China, can't sell its soybeans to China. China. We've had a lot of narrative collapses. Mainstream media, traditional news networks continue to become uh, really relegated to irrelevance, except for the fact that they can all get the story out in one shot. They can roll at 5 o'clock and they get the same message across every single medium at the same time. So it's something powerful still to be said with that. However, it doesn't last long. And so by the time that people start to grasp a lot of the stories that are going on, already the alternative media is tearing these stories apart, adding some nuance, adding some details, adding information. And the next thing you know, there's just a complete narrative collapse of mainstream media. Whatever the story it is, they are pushing, it's just not going to work. Of course, the big story right now is anti-Semitism. And that's Matt Getz. He's saying straight up now that's AI generated. But anti-Semitism used to mean that people don't like Jews. Now it's people that Jews don't like. Well, it's always been who Jews don't like. It's always been that way. They've always used the term to deflect from criticism. It's not that you didn't like Jews. The vast majority of the time, it's a healthy protest, if we could say that word. I'm not sure that's the right word, but it's a healthy response, really, to Jewish behaviors. And so, like people have called and said, you catch anti Semitism by Jews. It's a disease you catch from Jewish people. We had a story just out recently. Let me see if I can recall the story. Um, was it Megan Kelly? I think it was Megan Kelly. She got ripped a little bit by, the little Benny, Benny Shapiro. And she was saying that like they're it's like Jews are creating more anti-Semites, like Ben Shapiro is creating more Semites. And it's like, well, it's always been that way. Anti-Semitism has always been a response to Jews and their behavior, to Jews and their conduct, to Jews and their agendas. It's not like anti-Semitism is like popping up in a vacuum, and that's what they'd like everybody to believe. They think everything is in a vacuum. Of course, they use their positions of power to sell the fact that they are the perennial victim. See, the arrogance of the Jewish press is unheard of, frankly. Because if you talk to somebody from, let's say, the ghettos, the projects, the amount of violent crime that Jews say they are being subjected to, are crimes for that matter. Gee, I don't like your thumbnail. I think your nail polish sucks. That counts. Or it seemingly counts. But inside the projects, inside of what crimes happen to white people, um, within 3 days, 5 days, we probably get the same numbers that Jews are complaining about in an entire year. And you've got this guy, Wolf Blitzer, I think is this guy's name, not sure, literally saying, what can we do to confront it? And the way he said confront, it's like, the impression that Jews are sending out to the Western world is that they are at war with us. They demand obedience to them. They demand subservience, besides the obedience, but literal subservience. They demand the right to do whatever they want to people. They want to be able to take unilateral, vindictive action against anybody. And yet they are saying that anti-Semitism has to be nipped in the bud. No, anti-Semitism just means you're anti-Jewish in all tone. You don't have to hate people to be anti-Jewish. And there's no reason to give Jews this ability to frame the debate. Look, we're anti-Jewish. We admit that. Why should we not be anti-Jewish? Give me one thing that Jews are doing right now that makes me say I should be supporting them. If you can't give me one thing, then it's not your right nor your duty or your place in the world to tell me otherwise. Because I have my own ability to draw my own conclusions. I don't need some Wolf Blitzer up there trying, well, we need to confront this. It's just dumb. Do you believe that? All religious hate crimes? It's like, are you guys an idiot or what? Is the FBI controlled by the Israelis or what? I mean, you're talking about 70%? It can't be anything then. It's got to be so small because if it's only 2%, it's got to be nothing. Literally, it has to be nothing. On a grand scale of what's going on in America today, these are like these aren't even worth our time. We have so many other problems we can deal with because if it's only 2% and there's 70%, we know it ain't going to be a whole hell of a lot then. So what are you complaining about to us, the American people, for? Why are you complaining? Seriously, why? Because we know the numbers are so statistically irrelevant that who gives a damn? Oh, you want to use it to clamp down on American rights? Okay, now that's a declaration of war against the American people. Well, if you're declaring war on the American people, don't you think that the American people, some places are going to really try to fight back and you get to record that, but your declaration of war doesn't get recorded? That sounds rather simple. Gee, how convenient is that? And this just goes on and on from this community. Can you imagine somebody painted Nazi insignia? Who gives a damn? Seriously, who gives a damn? First of all, why did you vilify the insignia to begin with? Because you knew that it was a good luck charm to the West. You know that it means the solar wheel, which is the sun, which basically is life itself. So why did you vilify it to begin with? Seriously, why did Jews vilify this symbol to begin with when it was literally a part of our heritage? We should reclaim it anyways. We should paint it on every frickin' Jew wall for that matter and say, listen, it doesn't mean anti-you. We're just going to give you our good luck symbol because it's our symbol. We can define what it means. It's not for Jews to define our symbol. Do you define all the Jewish symbols, which are basically occult black magic stuff? Do you define those symbols for Jewish people? Literally, think about it. Do you go into a synagogue and say, you know what? The Star of David it's a hex on all of humanity. It is evil. If it is inside any of our public institutions, it's proof of Jewish hate crimes against we the people. Does anybody do that to Jews? They should, but they don't, right? Yet Jews can do the same thing for any American symbol. Why? I don't remember, but I go and I see old videos from time to time on YouTube. Leonard Skinner, one of the greatest Southern rock bands probably America produced. It's a shame that they were killed in that airplane crash. I actually remember those days. And they were probably one of the greatest Southern rock bands going at the time. They would attract tens of thousands of people to outdoor events, and they would be waving not waving personally, but they would have the Confederate flag behind them. Now, what's wrong with the Confederate flag? That's part of American heritage. Who is it for Jews to vilify that? So if you're going to vilify other people's symbols, why should we care if a Jew complains? Because we should see it for what it is. 2% of the population trying to impose themselves onto the balance of the American people. Why would we want to do that? Seriously, why? There's a Israeli out there, Jewish though, American apparently, and they're saying this. It says the Jewish diaspora should declare its independence from Israel. Okay, now, did you hear that? The Jewish diaspora should declare its independence from Israel. Doesn't the very statement tell you that they are not independent and therefore they're Israeli first? Eh. If he is saying straight up we should declare independence from Israel, that means that the Jewish diaspora is a part of Israel. That means they are literally en masse, based on this rabbi, Israeli agents. They're Israeli operatives. Think about it. Furthermore, synagogues need to remove Israeli flags. Well, why are Israeli flags in a synagogue anyways? That's supposed to be a religious place, not a place for politics. How many times did we hear, especially back in the Tea Party, where churches were being sanctioned, losing their nonprofit status because they were combining politics with a place of worship? More on this when we get back. It's The Fetch, everybody. Inside the Eye Live. Back after this. All right, everybody. Welcome back. It's The Fetch, Inside the Eye Live. Intelligent media for the politically aware. Again, we are going out live on Rumble right now. By a lot of people had actually requested that. We had just not done it. It seems like we're able to get it out and we're doing okay. We haven't had too many blocks or stops this week. We're still working on the lighting. I have problems actually with my lights up there on the ceiling that shine down on my green screen, and it just flickers. So I can't use it. But nonetheless, we want to check it out. It's kind of cool. We're on the live stream now. I put us in the podcast section. Why? Because the news section, guys, there's a lot of heavyweights there. But inside the podcast section, there's not as many players, if you know what I mean. So if you go to the podcast section and you take a look, let me see if I can find it real quick. I think it's here. Yeah, it is. I'm going to refresh this page. And you go in, the commercial break hurts us a little bit because we lose people in the commercials. But we've been as high as number number one on the second row. We're actually looking at this like a race, if it's the Indy 500. And you got the starting grid. Well, there's this show called Conspiracy Streams. I don't know. So I'm just starting to do videos. I'm trying to study a little. But there's a show called Conspiracy Streams. We're giving you a plug out there. They got like 273 concurrent right now. There's 85 for the mathematical proof that Jesus is the Messiah. All right. So we're losing out to that show. Say no to the poser, everlasting life or contempt watches. I'm not sure what that is, but he's got a 36, so we're close to him. And the real Christmas star, again, there's a lot of Christian stuff here. They're 29. Victory Channel, which I know is a Christian thing, at 28. And yours truly, us, that's you guys too. We're sitting at number 6, row 2. Row 2 in the second position on row 2. So that's very good. So at least we can get noticed out there. People can see us. We've seen that we've had a subscriber already. So thank you very much for that. If you're still listening, thanks for subscribing. And we appreciate it. All right. I forget where I was at. We were talking something about anti-Semitism, something. We're always talking about anti-Semitism. It's like, anyways. Um, Chat room, you can chat, by the way, if you want. It's very quiet there, but you can chat in the chat room at Rumble. You can actually do that if you want. Um, and also, of course, the chat room is open at insidetheylive.com. It's quiet there, but it's been quiet for long time now. But excuse me, you can go to insidetheylive.com, click on the live chat button, and telephone lines. Hey guys, you can open it. It's kind of a kickback show, guys. We're not being too structured here because it's the last show of the year, and we don't want to get too heavy if we don't have to. We already started with the heavy show. Heavy part with my driver. That was kind of tough today. But nonetheless, you can call us in at 213 401 2617. That's 213 401 26, excuse me, 17. All right, let's move on to some other issues here. And we talked about the Syrians. I talked about that. Let's see if I can find where the hell I put that story. There it is. There it is. There it is. Or there it isn't. All right, there we go. All right, some other stories going on here for really now and moving into the future. And one is gold. Excuse me. Now, if you follow a lot of different podcasts that do very well out there, shows, streaming video, they're often pushing gold, selling gold. Join the gold bullion, gold rush. And hell, I can fly to Dubai and I can actually just go buy some real gold. I mean, it's very easy. You can buy it by the gram, by the way. It's like 100 and some odd dollars by the gram. It's expensive. But gold is stabilizing right now around 4,550 dollars per troy ounce. And that's up 70% this year, which is a huge, huge gain if you're in the gold market. It's not a spike. It's really just really, when you think about it, probably what we're looking at is a underlying rejection of Jewish fractal lending system. And I still have people that have good security relations with Somaliland. And now Trump, apparently he's gone in there with Benjamin Netanyahu. And so you have the global south, which is of course largely aligned with China and with Russia. And then you have the Americans coming in recognizing Somaliland. And Trump is now hinting that he wants to build a naval base there. And Israel is moving now, along with Trump, via Somaliland to secure that Red Sea corridor. So this is just another aspect of America going out to protect shipping lanes, commerce. And you wouldn't have to protect the Red Sea corridor if you didn't have Israel. See, the problem with the Red Sea corridor is the genocide that the Israelis have been conducting against Gaza. And it was the Yemeni people who actually had a responsibility, everybody did, but a responsibility to protect, that were blockading the Israelis in the Red Sea or via the Red Sea, leading up into the Suez Canal. They shut down and bankrupted the Eilat port, that being the Yemenis. So Trump now is talking about building a naval base there. So Somalia itself, with all our Somalian friends in Minnesota. Also, they're coming into what was the city? It's in Ohio. I forget. But apparently they're taking over an Ohio city also. But the larger picture now is that territorial integrity. Somalia is being bypassed. Somaliland is going to go ahead and try to secede here. And what's going to probably happen here is this. Israel went ahead and recognized Somaliland. And they believe this is going to be countering Iranian and Houthi dominance in the area. So they're going to set up a formal diplomatic and military foothold 400 kilometers now from Yemen. So they're really trying to get closer to Yemen. Israel is going to gain now what they call a permanent platform for maritime surveillance now in this area. And they're going to have a forward defense against Houthi missile launches. That's the Israeli side. Somaliland, on its side, has been offering the U.S. and Israeli military access to its Berbera port in exchange for this recognition. So Trump has stated he is looking into it, but not ready to fully commit yet. I'm sure if Bibi tells him to commit, Trump will commit. That's Trump. So I'm sure this will happen because Bibi's not going to want to do this by himself. So Israel has moved first. Trump and Washington has not done so, but really it's going to force probably the Americans to now expand further and have a new naval base. And just the way it's going to be. So essentially, we're going to probably put a new base there in Somaliland. There's also this idea of Somaliland being the de facto deportation land for the people of Gaza. So you're going to create the Somaliland Gambit. You're going to protect it by a naval base, which will be run by the Americans in all probability. The Israelis are too stupid. They couldn't actually run it successfully. Not they don't have that projection power. They need people like the Americans to do it for them. But the talk now is forcing the Palestinians out and moving them to Somaliland. And both Mogadishu, which is Somalia, and Hargeisa, which I guess is Somaliland, Mogadishu, Somalia, Hargeisa, Somaliland, both of them are denying that this has been in discussions. But the rumor is out there, and that Egypt, excuse me, um, Egypt and Turkey is using this to frame the recognition as a hostile colonial act on their southern border or their southern, on their southern sphere of influence. Mm. So essentially, one Somalia, kind of like one China, but it's going to fail. The one Somalia, let's just say the one Somalia narrative, it's collapsing now. It's gone. So once America, Israel has already done it, but America no. The Qatar has said absolutely no. They don't recognize this. I'm not sure about UAE or Saudi yet. I haven't seen anything on that. But the UN for decades and the African Union have held for decades now this idea of a one Somalia. And it gave Mogadishu a veto power over Somaliland's basic existence. So that veto died basically with Israel taking over. So again, whether this is a domino effect, is this going to happen now in South Sudan? We don't know. Is the UAE, which has invested literally billions in Berbera, are what's happening now with this? Is this going to happen now, expanding to South Sudan? We don't know yet. So essentially, what we're seeing here is that in the Middle East, the borders are kind of collapsing. You know, Syria's borders have largely collapsed. Lebanon's borders have largely collapsed. This is all due to Jewish expansion. We're seeing again the borders of Ukraine are going to be collapsing very soon. What else? Obviously, Sudan is in the process of collapsing. Somalia and Somaliland is in the early phases of collapsing. So Yemen is in a collapse state. So we're seeing this collapsing of various national borders largely centered around transportation corridors. So what the transportation corridor is with Syria, I don't know yet. But Somaliland, okay, we kind of get it because that's going to open up the Red Sea corridor or allow the Israelis and the Americans to move within 400 kilometers of Yemen. So, okay, I can get that. So the global South, again, linked with China and Russia, they're talking a lot about, you know, sovereignty and territorial integrity. But the reality is that Somalia is a failed state. Somalia, through the people of Ilhan Omar and who knows who she's associated with, have brought their failed state to America and set up shop in places like Minnesota and used the fact that they can do nothing, I guess, to feed them through pure corruption and fraud, which is now slowly being revealed, actually rapidly being revealed now. So the question then becomes, is this recognition by Israel going to be like a master stroke to control the maritime corridor there? Or is it really a first step to changing the demographics in Gaza and start moving all of these people, meaning the Gazans, out of Gaza and turn them basically into Somaliland citizens? And that's really what's happening here, because obviously Somaliland is at a choke point. And at that choke point, of course, a lot of oil flows, a lot of commerce flows, and it was shut down for quite some time. Um, Cash Patel. I don't trust Patel, frankly. Sometimes his eyes just are crazy. Just kind of crazy. But he's shutting down the J. Edgar Hoover building. It's going to be permanently shuttered. So this means the headquarters of the Mr. Fix-It agency, the Mr. Fix-It MFA. Yeah, that's what they should call the FBI. The FBI should be called the MFA, Mr. Fix-It Agency, because that's kind of what they do. But they're going to be permanently shuttering now the headquarters to the J. Edgar Hoover building. And some people are seeing this as a positive of MAGA, a positive of going after, quote unquote, the deep state, because it's going to be decentralizing the Bureau. It's going to be literally closing what some consider to be the heart of the beast. This is like the heart of the FBI. And we all know the FBI is a failure to the American people. I don't care how you cut it. You guys failed when it came to JFK, unless, of course, your cover up is going to count, right? You have failed. I mean, literally, the agency has failed the American people. It hasn't failed the bankers who sponsor them, apparently, hasn't failed the deep state. It hasn't failed in its cover ups. But for the American people, the FBI has been nothing but one abject failure after another. Charlie Kirk gets assassinated on live TV, basically, and the FBI is too stupid to actually release the real information and do something about it. Or they're just really good at MFA, Mr. Fix It Agency. They're just really good at it. And so, whether or not this is going to reboot, of course, America's federal law enforcement fix-it agency, that will remain to be seen. But some people speculate, hey, this isn't just reform; it's an eviction of the legacy architecture that has governed the Beltway for 50 years. So, take the story as you like and package it as you like, I guess. But that is going to be happening. I guess the Zelensky Trump summit's going to be tomorrow, not today. So it's going to be tomorrow. Zelensky is going to be landing in Florida. He's going to have a meeting that will probably, we'll see, but define European security architecture for the next decade or more. Now, whether Trump could actually pull that off in one meeting, I'm not sure. But Russia obviously is not going anywhere. They're going to get what they want. There's nothing Europe can do about it. Nothing much the Americans can do about it, frankly. Um, all right. That's good. It's working, man. It's all working. It's all working. Okay, really good stuff. Strategy's working. I like when I like it. I love it when a plan comes together, everybody. I love it when a plan comes together. I wish I wish I had a good X feed. That would be kind of awesome. But I don't have a good X feed. It sucks. It's just pro Israel, pro all the time. It's like, come on, guys. It's embarrassing. It's actually embarrassing. It's so bad. All right. What else can we go with? Europe and Canada are agreeing to link digital ID infrastructure. So this is starting to spread out. I'll be honest, here in the Middle East, it's all digital ID. It really is. I'll tell you, What happens here is that it's all digital ID, period. You're going to enter the country, you're going to be doing some type of biometric, whether it's going to be a camera or your fingerprint or whatever, but you're going to have to do some biometrics. For the most part, I don't mind it. I don't mind it because here the governments tend to serve the people. You know the rules, you know what you can do, what you can't do. And there's not this big push to silence people, deplatform people. Yeah, people self-censor here. Okay, I get that, but they're getting arrested all the time in Europe. Okay, so the real issue is digital ID from a government services point of view. It's very convenient. It really is convenient. You can do so much stuff right there on your phone if you want. You don't have to go to the government's offices. You don't have to mail things in. You can do things literally in seconds. In some cases, literally seconds, minutes, and you're finished. So there's a lot of benefit there from somebody who's actually lived it and experienced how it works. Some of it's just annoying, you know what I mean? But it's annoying because sometimes, if something doesn't work, it just doesn't work. You know what I mean? It's like anything that doesn't work. What can you do? It just doesn't work. It's not working right now, so you can't access the database or whatever. That's a pain in the ass. But the problem with the West is that the governments themselves, the agencies themselves, simply can't be trusted. I mean, when you had the trucker protest in Canada during the peak COVID period, the government literally starts shutting down everybody's bank accounts. What that tells you is you can't trust these people. And that really is the main protest here. When you have this type of service, there has to be a super high level of trust between the people and the people who control the architecture. And in America and the West, you can't trust these people. You're dealing with ideological flakes that make, everybody else in the world look highly rational. I mean, you look at what's going on in America today, and you've got Jews literally screaming every other second about deplatforming people for quote unquote their anti Semitism. Who wants to give up their life to a digital ID when some punk ass Jews are out there trying to bank, literally, and they'll do it anyways? They'll get you deplatformed, debanked, get you put on no fly lists. I mean, this isn't a joke type of situation. So you can understand why people in the West don't want any part of this type of infrastructure because the people who are running the infrastructure are totalitarian flakes by and large, and you can see it. It's just insane, actually. Um, those aren't stories to me. Somebody gave me a Mr. V. I know Mr. V sent me an email. And if you want to reach out to me, you can do that. The fetch at insidetheylive.com. But Mr. V's been with the show a really, really, really long time. I mean, a really long time, probably from the very beginning, maybe even before, going back to the Illuminatus Observer days. And he was saying that what's really odd about America, and I'm paraphrasing here, and maybe I got it wrong, but I don't think so. He's saying, look, the problem with America, it's like America's like turning into this bizarro world where you're turning into this Christian Stasi state almost. And I've noticed that, Gab was very Christianized. Steve Bannon with the Catholics are very Christianized. E. Michael Jones, who's part of this kind of extended network, but deeply Catholic and Christianized. So you have this huge influence of Catholicism and basically Christianity into the political agendas here, or let's say the political environment. And I can get it from one perspective because you're going to need some type of cohesive structure to take on the cohesive structure that is Israel. And now that reminds me where we were at. We were talking about the X thing. Maybe I'll go back to that. See, sometimes my brain works, other times so it just doesn't work, guys. Anyways, It's the Fedge inside the Ally. Back right after this. All right, everybody, welcome back. It is the Fetch inside the Eye, live, intelligent media for the politically aware. Again, today's date is December the 27th, 2025. It is now 9 o'clock, 9:01 in the evening here. Is that 1 or 3? My eyes are bad. My eye is, one eye's not gone there anymore. Anyways, it's 9:03 in the morning, not the morning, 9:03 at night. And it's getting cold. I should probably put on a jacket. It's kind of chilling off here. And what can I say? And unfortunately, my lighting here in the ceiling has gone out because it's blinking. It's like a flashlight. Not even a flashlight. It's like a strobe light. Badoo, badoo. And so I had to turn it off because it kept blinking. So the lighting's not so good. It's kind of screwing with my stuff in the back. So, anyways, if you're out on Rumble, hope you're enjoying the show. You could visit us again on Rumble. We are broadcasting in the podcast section, so it's not as cluttered as the news section, and the politics doesn't have a section per se. You know, I think it's out there, but you can't really like sign up for it when you set up the live stream. You have to either have to do news or, in my case, podcasts. So I choose podcasts, so we're doing okay there. Picked up a few couple subscribers today, so thank you very much for that. We do appreciate it, obviously. So thanks for signing up. And we do hope that you're enjoying the show, obviously. And we're doing okay, frankly. It's doing well. The stream is doing very, very well. So thanks for everybody for listening and attending there. Chat room, Inside the Eye Live, the old standbys. Let me go take a look, guys. Haven't been there in a while, huh? Inside the Eye Live, live chat. Again, we're live radio, guys. We're more of a live radio than a streaming media as far as video goes. So take it in stride. It's just basically a live show, radio show that we've been doing for 15 years almost. Okay, it is so quiet in the chat room. You guys are dead. Maybe half of you are in the Rumble feed, for all I know. But anyways, yeah, it's kind of dead there, guys. You guys are like, if I don't pay attention, you guys die. Also, telephone lines. We do have listener call-in telephone lines. 213-401-2617. That's 1-213-401-2617. Now, to those of you who have called in, you had a what do you call that? A echo? Not really an echo, but a feedback coming back to you. Well, we think we fixed that. Yay! I think I fixed it. I had a call afterwards, and I just had the guy, hey, dude, just keep talking. I'm going to start clicking buttons and figure out where it is. And I think I figured out where it is. I clicked it off. And so, excuse me, I do think we've actually solved the feedback. It's not again a feedback, it's a loop back more than feedback. It's loop back. And I think it's solved. I actually think it's solved. So that's a very good thing. It is, of course, the Christmas holiday. We hope you had a great Christmas holiday, honestly. For me, it was kind of interesting. I don't think I've talked about this yet, did I? For Christmas Eve, I went out and took dinner uh, at Chili's. I actually went to Chili's. I had a Mexican dinner and I was so hungry. I ate the whole damn thing. Quite good. And then, but Chili's here is probably one of the few American places I will go to. Then on Christmas night, I went to a media production. There's a company, I don't know, DS3, I think they're called. DS3 has offices in the Philippines, which is its headquarters, then an office here. And what they do is they do commercials. They cut commercials. They do media production. Excuse me. You can hire some of their acts. So they have signed up a lot of acts, different acts, you know. So you can hire acts if you're opening up a restaurant or you want to do a Christmas party or you want to do some type of party for your people or there's some events you can hire some of these acts to perform or entertain at these various venues. So some of these acts were there. They had like a team of acts and they were put into teams and they went out and they competed against each other, and I was there for the whole thing and watched it. And I think I crashed the VIP seat because when I sat down, the lady came back and she looked at me kind of with the like scolding look on her face, like, "What the hell are you doing here?" But I just, hey, I'm VIP. Screw you. I'm a VIP person. Hell, I could book your acts if I wanted to. So just you should just mind your business too. You watch your acts. I'm watching your acts too. Don't bother me. No, but they were very courteous, and I got to watch this thing. We stayed there till about 4 in the morning on Christmas night, and it was literally a party for a bunch of performers, Philippine performers that are based here and perform here in Saudi Arabia. And so that was kind of interesting. Kind of interesting. It was okay. The winning act, by the way, was just stupid. I told the guy, one of the people close to the CEO of the company, I said, "Man, that was stupid." Joking, of course, but I'm like, "Yeah, that was dumb." How'd you let that act win? But yeah, very interesting. I took some pictures, put it up on my Facebook, did a little short reel, put it up on my Facebook page. You can see it at Dennis Fetcho at Facebook if you want to go see that. And that was my holiday basically. And then back to work the next day. I think I took the next day off. Did I take the next day off? Mm, I think I did. I'm not sure. I really don't remember. It's only the 27th, and I forgot. No, I didn't take the next day off. I worked the next day, but I did. I tried to take an early Christmas off. So, here it's changed a lot. Christmas here is different than it was in the States. For sure, it's still different, but it's improved a lot. I mean, there's a lot more festivity than there used to be. That's for darn sure. And a lot more of just everything here is just happening. It's just a happening place. They're trying to increase their my goodness, their goals for tourism is through the roof. Frankly, they're even thinking about extending the current airport to handle even more people. So my hat's off to them. It's not like a lot of countries there that you just shut down. It's very dour, very sour. But it's not the place here. They're moving, they're producing, they're having a great growth. Their employment's up. Inflation is okay. I've noticed some things really do seem expensive from time to time, especially the stuff coming from America that I like to buy. But there you go. It's happening here. All right. Let me go back out to. I was trying to reach this thing. Hold on here. Let me pull this up here. I'm being surrounded by cats, guys. If I get like eaten or something live on stream here, it's because the cats were hungry. Because they're literally like fish, sharks, sharks. What I used to do a long time ago was something called the Oy vey moment. It was very, very popular. And I would pull the stories a lot of times from newsnow.co.uk. It's like a feed aggregator that's not so, what do you say, not so liberal oriented, nor is it mainstream oriented, but it uh, goes through the UK, and it's okay. But the story really is Israelis, Jews really pushing a totalitarian agenda. Bottom line, they are pushing a totalitarian agenda. And I don't see how you could claim otherwise, frankly. You've got like this woman in Australia, right? I think she's Jewish. I'm pretty sure she's a Jewish lady. But I want to play that again. I mean, listen to just how serious it's getting. So essentially, what she's saying. Okay, lady. Okay, I heard you. But when you think about it, they're complaining about anti-Semitism all the time. But at the same time, they are viciously, when you use the state, that's pretty vicious, guys. But they are viciously going after the general public. And when they talk about vilify to fight hatred. What are they really saying? They're just saying we want to protect our current power. Like, you can't criticize, you can say nothing. They're literally acting as if they are the lords and masters of the country. And when they say, "Oh, we will work with the Jewish community," do you think that she was up there, that they didn't already have this pre-planned and stated? Come on, just stupid. But it's like, it's not going to stop anti-Semitism when people realize that Jews are the ones doing the imprisoning. And Jews, they understand it. At certain levels, Jews are saying, look, we will not tolerate any. And that's really what it is, guys. They're treating you as if you're a 5-year-old. They're the parents, and they're not going to tolerate any disobedience from you. Oh, that's not ringing. That's not ringing to my. It's not ringing to my desktop. That's not good. Hold on a second. I think it's turned on. Let's take a look. That didn't ring to my desktop. Mm. Phone calls are coming in, but it's not ringing to the desktop. Hang on tight here. Let me see why that's not ringing to the desktop. Maybe it's maybe I stopped it for a second. Let me look. Z. Yeah, it wasn't. Somehow it got turned off. I did not turn it off. I did not turn it off. It's loading now. It's still loading, and it's officially loaded. Okay, try now. Try now with the phones 213-401-2617. Yeah, the phone was turned off. I didn't turn it off. Honestly, I didn't turn it off. I never turn it off ever. So somehow it got discombobulated from my system. There it goes. See, now it's ringing. I got to turn that down though. All right. Hi, Mr. 808, man. Merry Christmas and welcome to Inside the Eye Live. You're now on the stream, the live Rumble stream, dude. So make it a good call or else I'm just going to it'll just kind of confuse them a bit. That'll get them out. How are you, man? You know, that's, yeah. It's like, how are you, man? Merry Christmas to you. Hey, thank you. Yeah, I saw that riding in on that pony horse. Yeah. Was that just really clever Photoshop, or did he really write in on him? Really? Well, well, well. I would. I think I've moved on. I've moved on. I don't know where the hell that clip is, dude. No, the clip was. Yeah, no, the clip was a Jewish woman saying, it's a Jewish lady, right? Saying, we're going to be working with the Jewish community to create laws to basically criminalize uh, white Australians thinking for themselves. We're going to repress you further. And it's like people are saying, yeah, this is a great recipe to lessen anti Semitism. Just go ahead and repress us even more, oppress us even more. Yes, Megan Kelly was talking about that. Mm. Well, haven't we been saying that? You've been listening a long time. Haven't we been saying this for over a decade? Literally, I mean, all of this we said a decade ago. Now it's like mainstream media. I'm like, okay, since it's so mainstream media now, I can go ahead and rebroadcast now because I'm like just gonna blend in. Like before, I was like the whack a mole, and I'd stick my head up, and if I wasn't quick enough, I got whacked. And now, shoot, man, there's so many whack a moles around. They can't whack them fast enough, and I'm already quick on my feet, so I'm okay. So we'll see, if they ban me later. They're saying that the caller cannot be. Wait, wait, wait. They're saying that the caller cannot be heard on Rev Radio. So I may have to give you back this thing. Wait a minute. I'm going to put you back. I'm going to play this A3 through here, and you're probably going to hear it again. And I'm going to have to now figure out where to put this phone. But okay, I'm going to go ahead and let you talk because I bet you're going to go out, but you're going to hear the feedback. But they'll hear you on the network.
Right. No,
Yeah, that sucks, doesn't it?
there's that's slight, but I can work around it. I just have to manage my timing.
There you go. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
I guess
I'm
that's
not.
an effect of dual broadcasting, right? You're on
It,
Revolution Radio and Rumble, so it produces this echo.
maybe yes, maybe yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll
Well, we'll just
solve
have
it.
to learn
I
to
will
live with it.
solve
Put
it.
on our
I'll
big boy
solve it.
pants.
I probably gonna have to just never mind, guys. It's
Okay.
bad radio, but I'm just what can I say? It's a holiday season here, man. So go ahead and let's move this
It's
show
just
along.
to
What you
fix
got?
it.
Yeah,
Well, I don't know if you want, for the benefit of the audience, you want me to repeat the gist of what I said?
yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
It'll.
Well, I said to fetch, ladies and gentlemen, that you missed it, was Ben Shapiro, Little Horse greeting. And that's appropriate in so many ways because, as you know, next year, 2026, is the year of the fire horse.
Oh, is it really?
So that's, yes, it's the year of energy, passion, and boldness.
Wow.
In
No
other
wonder
words, a Candace Owens kind of year.
yeah, I no wonder I'm feeling so confident going into this shoot.
Yeah,
So
it's your time, Fetch. It's your time. You're the pioneer.
literally the pioneer too, man.
Yeah,
So it's been a lot of
yeah.
fun seeing things change so
What is
much.
that saying, Fetch? That that a patriot is something to the effect has the courage, and then others follow him because there's no risk now once you've laid the groundwork, something like that. I'm totally
Yeah, you
messing
know
it up,
what?
but
That's
you
exactly
get the
some of the. Yeah, that's actually one of the comments that was being said to me this week, saying, Fetch, what you did is you laid the groundwork for a lot of this to happen, but unfortunately, the trailblazers never get the credit. It goes through a couple
right,
renditions of refinement, so it gets more like compacted, so it's a little bit more palatable to the mainstream. And then the big voices
hmm
then take it because it's already refined enough to the point to where they can get away with it. Where our message might have been a little bit
right.
more raw, more honest, and hard hitting, but it's gone through various refinements. But in my case, I don't see the refinement all that much. I'm hearing the same things I was saying. So it's difficult, but it just took a
Well,
lot of years to get it to this stage.
right. It's definitely more palatable because it's the Overton window. It's been shifted,
Mm,
and
exactly.
that's probably in large part due to the Palestinian conflict.
I think
And
so.
the Israelis are just being so vicious.
I honestly think so. When somebody asked, there was an Israeli, he was showing a drone footage of all of Gaza, and Gaza is like completely obliterated. It's gone, right? And the guy says,
Yeah,
you attacked us on 9/11, October 7th. Was it worth it? And I'm like, in a way, yes, it was, because it really showed the true character of the Jewish nation, Jewish people, if you'd like, whatever. And so, yes, it was because
right.
humanity's been at battle, at war with this for so long, and the Palestinians are part of humanity. So, okay, they took the brunt on this, but they through their perseverance, showed the true nature of what Jews are all about. So I'm like, yeah, it was worth it, dude, because now
Absolutely.
we know what you're all about.
Absolutely. Right. It's an unmasking moment, right? A 4K genocide
Yes,
streaming live. Yeah.
streaming live. So to me, yes, it was worth it.
Yeah. It's too bad about the Palestinian people. I wish I could do something to end their suffering.
Yeah, difficult.
Wish I had my own army, my own navy, my own air force.
Yeah, that would all be good.
Yeah. But anyway, Fetch, just wish you a happy New Year's, and just wanted to share that sentiment with you. And maybe you can pull up that clip. Oh, I guess you can't because she's using f bombs.
No, who?
You, the Candace Owens clip.
Maybe. Yeah, if she's using F bombs, I got to be kind of
Yeah,
careful.
yeah, that would be
You
kind of
know,
difficult. Yeah,
I actually, over 15 years, we've maintained a really good FCC style quality, meaning we don't really use a lot of
right.
cursing and stuff like that. We've tried to maintain it at a very high level of
Mm-hmm.
professionalism. We slip from time to time. Um, and we admit that. But for the most part, we've actually tried to maintain an FCC quality show, something that would be okay for
Yeah,
terrestrial radio. So I'm kind of proud of that. Even with all that, we haven't gone to like being extreme, cussing and swearing and all that, to try to get attention. We
mm-hmm.
kept it very
Mm-hmm.
clean and professional all these years. And now I'm just kind of having fun with it again. And that's kind of a good thing. I haven't been having fun with it for years, to be
Right.
honest with you. But it's like if
Well,
any of you guys are out there, excuse me a sec, if any of you guys are out there that did running, we're a runner. I'm not a runner anymore. I'm too old. But when I was a younger kid, I was running 10, 20 miles a day. I could run 10 miles in an hour with no problem. That means I'm averaging 10 miles an hour, okay? Which is pretty freaking fast, all right? And
yeah.
some days you just didn't want to go out. You didn't want to go out. And then when you went out, you got 2, 3, 4 miles into it, and like, okay, this isn't so bad. Now I can't even imagine doing like half a mile. But back in the day, the drudgery it gets to you, and doing this is long form radio, guys. This is not easy. We're not doing 10, 12, 15 minute clips and then we're gone. We're doing long form radio, and you guys come and you like it and you stay the whole time, which is really a tribute to the show. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, and then but that's drudgery.
Amen.
I'm not getting paid like an Alex Jones, or most people rely on guests all the time. We hold our own show by ourselves, which is not that easy to do.
Yeah, which is not a bad idea. You might want to entertain the idea of having some guests on.
Yeah, it's callers, dude. Thanks for calling.
Anyway, I hear the music, Fetch, and that's
Yeah,
my cue. I'm riding off on my horse.
there you go. Thanks for calling, man. Have a good holiday. See you
All
next
right,
year.
Fetch.
See you.
You too. Later.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Okie dokie, everybody. Welcome back. Final half hour of 2025. How awesome is that? We actually made it through the whole year. I didn't do a whole lot of interviews this past year. Partially by listener demand. You guys kind of prefer to have just the fetch talk for 3 hours, and usually it's like guests interrupt that. And I don't know how to get rid of all those lights here. I got to figure out how to do that stuff. Hold on, I'm gonna stand up and just go do this. Because we can. It's the end of the year, man. Right. Yeah, I got to get the lights fixed. Yeah, see? It's like, wow, if I can see fetch now. All right, very good. Anyways, guys, again, we are going to be doing the Rumble account more. So if you haven't signed up yet, do that. Inside the Eye Live on Rumble. So check it out. Again, we are broadcasting, streaming out of Rumble. Now we've been doing very well today. Last week wasn't so good, but this week much, much, much better. Again, it is what it is. We're just building this thing. We'd like to build it up to something very good again. The radio show does very well over on Revolution Radio. I don't know where we stand as far as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 show strength anymore. I have no idea. We used to be number one for a lot of years. I have no idea now. Maybe somebody's talented has come along. I'm not sure. and has supplanted the fetch. I'm not sure. But nonetheless, just want to say thanks again to you guys, the listeners, and everybody in the support team over at Revolution Radio with what you've done to help support the show. Obviously appreciated. And we want to thank you, the listeners, for another great year. You know, we've had a tough year in some respects, but we've had a really good year. You know, we broadcast from uh, I think we broadcast from where? We broadcast from Italy, I believe. We broadcasted from China, from the Philippines, from Dubai, from Sharjah. We've broadcast from quite a few places this year, and that's something we like to do. We like to pack up the mic here and, uh, you know, basically some. I think when I was in Sharjah once, I was broadcasting with the microphone on a Kleenex box because I forgot my mic stand. I just forgot it. You know, I thought I packed it, didn't do it. So we've been doing a lot of that. So we appreciate you guys so much. We want to thank you, the listeners. Again, thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for obviously checking out the new, what do you call it? The new stream, you know, so we really do appreciate that. And continue to support it, spread the word. Let's kind of rebuild this thing. We were huge back in 2015, 16, 17. And then, of course, with the algorithm changes, we got killed, basically. We got put into a box to where it was very difficult to get out of, but things have loosened up quite a bit. The algorithms are starting to favor what we are doing. So we should be doing better, frankly, because of the way the algorithms are working. But of course, we have to put in the effort and we need to help support the show equally. So we want to just say thank you again for doing that, and hope you continue to do that. I wanted to close out the show. Two things. Number one, we talked about Christianity earlier in the show and how it's starting to take over and play a much more crucial role in politics in America. And some are calling this like a Stasi state, Christian Stasi state. Okay, maybe. But the truth of the matter is, the enemy of the American people is the synagogue of Satan, which would be, of course, Israel and the Jewish people. And this year, we have seen Bibles, literally Bibles, surge to a 20-year high. You know, America is going through turbulent times. The wealth has been stolen by pretty much the banking class. You know, we're $35 trillion in debt. So who are we in debt to? You know what I mean? Where did that money go? To whom did it go? Where is it? Excuse me. Why are we continuing to grow at the same rate? I mean, what are you doing with the money here to make all this happen? I have no idea. So people are turning to religion. We have to accept it for what it is. Bible sales again, reaching now a 20-year high, which is pretty amazing, actually, if you're in the Bible book selling business. Then you got the problem with AI. Um, Young Americans are probably some of the dumbest people out there. You know, we've played clips in the past about, you know, jokes about the young generation. And you got here this purported story here where younger generation are supporting giving the government the powers to an advanced AI system to control speech and religion. And like, why would you even do that? You know, already AI is programmed as a narrative control engine, which means you can't get it to openly admit to any type of truth that is not an accepted consensus view. You can discuss with it and change the logic. It's able to change logic. But if you turn over to this as like it's omniscient, the default is stupidity. The default is literally stupidity. It has no way to AI as it's designed has no way to actually formulate an intelligent answer. Can it help? Yeah, I've actually used it to create formulas that I plug in a string of words and it gives me the output as a part number. That's impressive. I love it. Okay. Took me about a half hour to train the darn thing. But once I did, I could literally give it a string of 70, 80 text strings and it would spit out a part number for me. Yeah, I love that because that saved me 5-7 hours worth of work. You know, I can do it, but why when it can just spit it out in 30 seconds? That's pretty freaking impressive. That type of work it's very good for. But when it comes to opinions, history, agendas, uh, any type of history to include any type of education, it can't be relied on. Period. Period. And to think you can rely on it is just dumb. And I would question whether young kids actually truly believe this or not. We talk about wins and losses in politics a lot lately. And we're going to probably end the show with this story here. And it's, excuse me, it's fairly important in my opinion. And it could be a win. But the EU has something called their digital safety regulations. It's called believe it's the Digital Services Act. And this year, December, the U.S. State Department imposed visa bans on 5 prominent European figures, and that includes the former EU commissioner, and that is being done for their roles in crafting and enforcing digital safety regulations. Now, as we know, this idea of digital safety, excuse me, difficult. This idea of digital safety is being used as a censorship tool and even a totalitarian arrest system inside of Europe. And there are people, once again, we're not fully at the table, guys. The Trump administration, but by far, we have more at the table than we had before Trump, by far. Um, are there problems with the Trump administration? Too many. I'm not going to be like this leftist liberal guy and just like everything Trump does, he's just a buffoon. No, I don't believe that. Uh, but he's definitely too much pro Israel, and that's his downfall. I think historically that'll be his downfall. He never could deal with the real problems facing America. That will come. But the Trump administration here, they're actually justifying banning these people because of extraterritorial censorship. They're actually going after like a Gab. They're going after Google. They're going after Microsoft. They're going after all of these various platforms due to censorship. Now, our attitude is this. If that telecommunications firm has to use scarce resources, then you should follow the law of the land outside of the bogus administrative state bullshit. Now, the law of the land of the West, entire Western civilization, is freedom of speech. I will expand that to every single Western nation. Does it have the same importance or value that we hold in America? No, I don't believe it does. Did it hold it in the UK? Yeah, but it's gone. It's actually gone. Freedom of speech in the UK is gone. You literally have to watch what you say there. All right? Now, you have 5 guys. One of these is Thierry Breton. Apparently, he's like linked with Cornwall and this type of area. It's kind of like Brittany from Brittany or something like that in northern France. He has been banned. He was the EU commissioner from 2019 to 2024, and he's considered to be the mastermind behind the DSA. Now, the ban specifically referenced a letter that Breton sent to Elon Musk in 2024, warning him to comply with EU rules ahead of an interview with Donald Trump. Well, my attitude is if you're involved in any type of censorship in the West, we should be banning you as Americans. So I see this as a win. Now, maybe I'm reading it wrong. Okay, I'm going to accept that I haven't studied it well enough to say, look, yeah, I got it. Yeah, definitely we need to ban these people. But another one, Imran Ahmed. He is the CEO of the Center for Countering Digital Hate. Okay, what does that tell you? He's part of the extended Jewish network. He's probably basically a Jewish extremist wrapped up in a Muslim body. But it's like, no, you got to protect your people. This organization basically tracks online what they call misinformation. Well, the second you have some idiot, seriously, an idiot, declaring what is and isn't misinformation, go screw you. Seriously, screw everybody that uses the term. Because what it's doing is it relegates you to being stupid beyond what they decide is accepted. So you got a series of regulators determining what is quote unquote truth. Again, it is so patently stupid in our system of the Western world. We are not, as Western intellectuals, we're not bound by who, Imran Ahmed. Yeah, ban the son of a bitch. What a moron. Who is he to declare misinformation? There is an Annalena von Hodenberg and Josephine Ballin. They're the directors of a project called Hate Aid. It's a German nonprofit that supports victims of online hate speech. And then they act as a trusted flagger under the DSA. Okay, let me explain my situation. I'm like a veteran of the troll wars, okay? I was enemy number one from like 2005 to 2007. I was harassed. I had my digital ID stolen. You couldn't query my name without basically being everything about me was I was an anti-Semite. I was an anti-Semite. In 2005 and 7, this was like really serious. Nowadays, you want to call me an anti-Semite, nobody cares. Tucker Carlson wins the anti-Semite award for 2025. Anti-Semite of the year, nobody cares, except for a few Jews, but nobody really cares. So this idea of, trusted flaggers and all this supporting victims of online hate speech, look, been there, done that. We survived just fine. Just give me a way to ban these people from where I don't have to see them. It's okay. But really, what is online hate speech? Equally. Now, there's another lady, Claire Melford, co-founder of the Global Disinformation Index. And I'd like to go through it and just really see how legitimate this whole frickin' thing is, because I highly doubt that it's even legitimate. So now the United States is going out and saying these individuals are using European regulations to suppress speech that is protected by us in the United States. In other words, they want to actually go after people in the U.S. and say, we don't have a right to speak. Listen, we already have a problem with the Jewish community in America. But see, this is a step in the right direction, because now that we've done, let's say, going after the Global Disinformation Index, and we've gone after the Center for Countering Digital Hate, why can't we now go after the ADL and some of these other groups that are associated with the ADL? You got your precedent set. Now, there's claims of coercion here. Officials accuse these people of pressuring U.S. tech firms to censor, demonetize, and suppress. Well, we already know those 3 words there are pure Jewish. And if you don't believe me, okay, fine. But go into, just start looking. Who's pushing for deplatforming? Who pushes for demonetization? It's always the Jewish community, because Jews understand that if they can take away all of your ability to function in the world, it's a lot easier for them to control the narrative over you than if you're free to move. They did that with me. They did that with a lot of people out there. Nick Fuentes comes to mind. Tucker Carlson gets pretty much fired. I can't tell you how many times I've had my audiences stripped away. For what? Because I speak the truth? Because these idiots that are talking about misinformation want to decide for all of humanity? I mean, think about the arrogance, the chutzpah overreach of these people. They're literally trying to say, we're going to determine for all of humanity what is acceptable to be said. The arrogance is beyond chutzpah. This is a classic example of chutzpah overreach. So anyways, we've got the bans in place. They were actually announced under a visa policy back in May 2025. And that was designed to restrict entry for foreigners deemed responsible for the censorship of protected speech in the United States. See, now we've got our first legal move now. Because believe me, we can hold this against any Jewish group out there now. You need a little bit more position of power. We're at the seat. We at least got people listening to us. At least Trump is listening a little bit about the free speech issues. He's listening about the genocide going on in South Africa, stories we were covering extensively back in 2015, 16, 17. So again, we have our wins. Is it perfect? No, not even close. Okay, not even close. However, we have some wins. The EU Commission, including leaders from France, Germany, Spain, they're strongly condemning the actions. For what? Why would you condemn them? It's not your business. You want to sit there and declare what we can say and cannot say in America, yet at the same time, if we in America say we don't need you coming to our country, you got a problem with that? Again, where's your freaking head, man? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. We got to bring this back. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. We need to bring that back. But here's the key thing here. The people who are going after protected speech in the United States are Jews themselves. It's Netanyahu. It's his army, his horde of uncouth trolls to try to silence everybody everywhere. It's people like various social media platforms. I'll be honest. I've seen in my position the platforms loosen up relative to me. Seriously. Before I was like so stifled it wasn't worth. Now I'm seeing reach again. I'm seeing some value, which I didn't see for over a decade. A freaking decade. That's how long we've been doing this. Now, President Emmanuel Macron, the one married to apparently a transgender guy older than him by like 30 years, called the move intimidation and coercion. Yeah, well, what about silencing our speech? What the hell is that? That's not intimidation and coercion? Deplatforming us isn't intimidation and coercion? What the hell, dude? You're saying it's undermining the right to regulate its own digital space. No, it's not. We're just banning you from our country. That's not coercing you. It's doing nothing to undermine the fact that you're undermining free speech. We're just saying you're not welcome in our country. So, dude, do you understand again what you're even saying to us? Also, EU officials maintain that the DSA was democratically adopted and applies only within Europe to ensure that what is illegal offline is also illegal online. No, not if you're writing letters to Musk. Not if you're writing letters to Andrew Torba over at Gab. Hardly. Again, you're just full of shit. With all due respect, you're full of shit. Then it says here, the EU Commission, European Commission, signaled it could respond swiftly and decisively to defend its regulatory autonomy. All right, do so. And in the meantime, we should just look at Europe right now as being a communist organization. We go ahead and work with populists and nationalists inside these countries, work to overthrow these governments, work to destroy the European Commission, and return sovereignty back to the European people. What, we lost 460,000 men in World War II, most of those in Europe, frankly, because what, to turn Europe over to a bunch of communist nutcases? I don't think so. So you got Thierry Breton again. He's the architect of the DSA. He sends warnings to Elon Musk. You have Imran Ahmed. Yeah, that's a European name if I ever frickin' heard one. He's the CEO of the campaign against whatever, digital hate. Campaign something for digital hate. He literally is campaigning against American viewpoints on X. He's on X, which is an American-owned firm, campaigning against literally American viewpoints. And then they want to say, well, dude, just shut the frick up already. We got to get to the stage, just shut up. Just shut up. We're tired of listening to you. Anna Lena, director of Hate Aid, she is, again, a trusted flagger. What did we learn about the trusted flaggers over the last 5 years? They're freaking idiots. They're literally idiots. They will just say whatever they can that they're paid to say because, oh, we got to support our donors who are paying us to go ahead and promote misinformation, disinformation as true information. Does that make sense? Not really. Again, Josephine Ballin, another one. I would like to see pictures of them. Probably not. Clara Melford, um, she is actually, wow, she was using U.S. taxpayer funds, it says here, for blacklisting speech. So you're taking money to essentially oppress us. How nice is that? So there you have it. This is a very big case, and it was something that now it's in place. They can complain all they want. Our attitude is, look, okay, now we've done it once. Let's do it a second time, a third time. And eventually you're going to have to go after various Jewish groups because they're the primary people going after our freedom of speech. Can we do it with Trump in power? Nah, maybe not. Frankly, honestly, maybe not, because Trump is too pro-Israel, too pro-Jewish. But the nationalist view is not going to change. Trump isn't wrong. The future doesn't belong to globalists. It belongs to nationalists. And everywhere we look, the globalists are trying to squelch nationalism everywhere you look. Everywhere through lawfare. And that's a cycle we're going to have to beat because it's just there. It's effective and it's beating us right now. But we have to understand what happened in Hungary. Uh, Gosh, I don't even know the countries. I know Hungary's one. Czech Republic, maybe. I'm not sure. But I know Hungary, of course, was one of the biggest ones where it was shown. Maybe Yugoslavia, what, Serbia, maybe? Not sure exactly. All right. So, guys, that's going to be basically the show. We want to say once again, thank you so much for a great year. Um, we appreciate you coming by. Thank you for supporting the new Rumble feed. We are going to keep this going. So if you haven't already check in and look for more content we hope coming up with the start of the new year. And again, Happy New Year, everybody. And see ya next year. Good night.